The transfer window might still be some time away, but discussions and speculation are already building around Rangers and the type of squad the club wants to shape for the future. One name that continues to circulate in scouting conversations is a young midfielder who has been attracting attention across Europe, and his recent decisions have added an interesting twist to what could have been a straightforward move. Rangers have clearly been watching his development closely, seeing potential in his style, his maturity on the ball, and his ability to control the tempo of a match despite his young age. However, football transfers are rarely simple, and this situation is becoming more about the player's personal vision than just numbers on a contract or the size of a transfer fee. What makes this story particularly interesting is that the player already had a major opportunity to leave his current club not long ago. A significant offer came in from a large European side, the kind of proposal that usually changes everything for a young footballer. The fee was substantial, the project was ambitious, and for many players at that stage of their career, it would have been an easy decision to accept the move and take the next step immediately. But instead of jumping at the opportunity, he chose to stay where he was, and that decision has told clubs a lot about his personality and his priorities as a professional footballer. The decision was not made quickly or without careful thought. It involved long discussions with family, advisors, and people close to him, which shows that he is not someone who makes career decisions based purely on emotion or money. He wanted to be certain that any move he made would be the right one for his development, not just the biggest opportunity available at the time. In modern football, where young players often move clubs very early in their careers, this kind of patience is becoming rare, and it suggests he is thinking long-term rather than looking for a quick rise. After rejecting that major offer, he didn't just continue as normal. He made an even stronger statement by signing a long-term contract with his current club, committing his future for several more years. That move sent a very clear message across the football world. It showed loyalty, but it also showed confidence. Confidence in his own development, confidence in the club he is currently playing for, and confidence that bigger opportunities will still come in the future if he continues to improve and perform at a high level. For Rangers, this changes the situation completely. When a player is under a long contract and publicly happy where he is, the challenge is no longer just negotiating with the club. The real challenge becomes convincing the player that your project is the right next step in his career. That means showing him a clear pathway into the first team, European football exposure, development under the coaching staff, and the chance to play in front of a demanding and passionate fan base. Those are strong arguments, but they only matter if the player feels the timing is right. And timing is everything in football transfers. A player might reject a move one year and accept a similar move the next year simply because his situation, confidence, or ambitions have changed. A strong season, a change in management, a new tactical system, or even personal development can completely change how a player sees his future. That is why clubs rarely give up completely on targets they truly believe in. They continue to monitor performances, track progress, and wait for the right moment to approach again. At the same time, Rangers cannot focus on only one target. Recruitment departments always work with multiple options for each position because they know that not every transfer is possible. Some players become too expensive, some sign new contracts, and others simply decide they are not ready to move. So while interest may still exist, the club will also be looking at other midfielders who fit the same profile, the same age range, and the same long-term development plan. This is part of the modern recruitment model used by many clubs now. Instead of only signing established stars, teams are increasingly looking for young players with high potential, players who can develop, increase in value, and become key parts of the team for many years. It is a strategy that requires patience from supporters, but when it works, it can define a team's success for a long period. Finding the right young player at the right time can change the direction of a squad. So the situation now feels like one that is not completely closed, but certainly not easy either. The player is happy, committed, and focused on his current team, which means any move would require a very convincing project and perfect timing. Rangers may continue watching, continue scouting, and continue planning. But unless something changes in the coming months, this is a transfer that looks complicated rather than imminent. And in football, complicated deals often become long-term stories rather than quick signings. Away from transfer speculation, another situation has started to draw attention: this time involving one of Rangers' attacking options on the international stage. What initially looked like a routine international break has turned into a talking point after events unfolded in a way that few expected, bringing questions about attitude, selection, and responsibility into the spotlight. It is the kind of scenario that can quietly pass by if handled internally, but once it becomes public, it inevitably creates discussion around the players standing both for club and country. The striker in question has already been dealing with a challenging period at club level, where consistent starting opportunities have been difficult to secure. Competition for places has been intense, and while there have been flashes of quality, breaking into the starting 11 on a regular basis has not been straightforward. That context matters, because international selection often reflects club form, and when a player is not playing week in, week out, it can influence decisions made by national team managers, especially in high-pressure matches. Heading into a crucial fixture for his national side, expectations were already high. These were not ordinary matches, but games that carried the weight of qualification hopes and national pride. Being named among the substitutes in such a moment can be frustrating for any player, particularly one who believes he can make a difference on the pitch. That frustration, however, appears to have escalated after a heavy defeat that effectively ended the team's ambitions in the competition. Rather than remaining with the squad until the end of the international window, the striker was allowed to leave early and return to his club. While permission was granted, the decision did not sit well with everyone involved. The national team manager made it clear that, from his perspective, such actions carry a deeper meaning. It is not simply about one player leaving a camp, but about what that decision represents in terms of commitment to the group and respect for the badge. The manager's comments were direct and carried a tone of disappointment. He emphasized that selection decisions are based on performance and consistency, pointing out that players who are regularly contributing at club level naturally earn priority when it comes to starting positions. It was a clear reminder that reputation alone does not guarantee a place, and that every player must continually prove their value, regardless of past achievements or expectations. What seemed to concern him most was not just the frustration of being left out, but the reaction that followed. Walking away from the squad, even with permission, was interpreted as a sign that the player struggled to accept his role within the team at that moment. For a manager trying to build unity and focus, especially after a difficult result, that kind of situation can disrupt the environment and shift attention away from collective responsibility. There was also an indication that this was not an isolated case, which adds another layer to the story. When more than one player makes a similar decision, it raises questions about the overall atmosphere within the squad and how individuals are responding to adversity. In international football, where time together is limited, maintaining a strong sense of unity is essential, and any signs of division can quickly become a concern. Despite the criticism, the door has not been completely closed. The manager acknowledged that players can return in the future, but the message was firm. Selection and involvement will always be determined by commitment, form, and the willingness to put the team above personal disappointment. It is a stance that reinforces authority and sets clear expectations for everyone involved moving forward. From a Rangers perspective, situations like this are closely monitored because they can influence a player's confidence and mindset upon returning to club duties. A difficult international break can either motivate a player to respond positively or create additional pressure as they try to prove themselves again. The way the striker reacts in the coming matches could play a significant role in shaping his position within the squad and how he is viewed by both supporters and coaching staff. Moments like these often become turning points in a season. They test character, resilience, and professionalism, and how a player responds can define the next phase of their career. For Rangers, managing that response will be just as important as any tactical decision on the pitch, because maintaining focus and unity within the squad is essential as the team continues to push through a demanding schedule filled with high expectations and constant scrutiny. What often happens in situations like this is that a player returns to his club with a point to prove. Frustration at international level can quickly turn into motivation at club level, especially for a striker who knows that goals are the fastest way to change any narrative. If he can get back onto the pitch, score important goals, and influence matches, the conversation shifts immediately from controversy to performance. Football has always been like that. Results and performances tend to silence criticism faster than any interview or statement ever could. For Rangers, this could actually become a positive if handled correctly by the coaching staff. A player coming back disappointed but determined can bring extra intensity into training, extra focus in matches, and a stronger desire to earn a starting place. Managers often talk about competition within the squad being healthy, and moments like this increase that competition. When players know that places are not guaranteed, the overall level in training usually rises, and that benefits the entire team, not just one individual. There is also the psychological side of football that supporters do not always see. Confidence plays a massive role in a striker's performance. A forward who feels trusted and important will take more risks, make more aggressive runs, and shoot without hesitation. On the other hand, a striker who feels under pressure or uncertain about his place might overthink simple situations. That is why man management becomes so important in moments like this. The way the coaching staff speak to the player, the minutes they give him, and the role they assign could make a huge difference in the coming weeks. At the same time, the team itself is entering a period where every match carries weight. League matches, cup competitions, and potential European fixtures mean squad rotation will be necessary, and opportunities will appear for players who are ready to take them. Football seasons are long and unpredictable, and players who are not starting now often become very important later in the season due to injuries, suspensions, or tactical changes. Being ready when that moment comes is what separates squad players from key players. Supporters often focus only on the starting 11, but successful teams are built on strong squads, not just strong lineups. Players coming off the bench, players stepping in during injuries, and players pushing starters in training are all part of what makes a team competitive over an entire season. So even if a player is not starting every week, his role can still be very important in the bigger picture, especially in a club where expectations are high every single match. Another factor to consider is how quickly football narratives change. A few strong performances, a couple of important goals, or a standout performance in a big match can completely change how supporters and media view a player. One month a player can be struggling for minutes, and the next month he can be one of the most important players in the squad. That is why patience and persistence are essential qualities for professional footballers, especially at big clubs where competition is constant. So the coming period could be very important, not just for the player involved, but for the squad as a whole. Football seasons often have moments where momentum shifts, where certain players step forward and become decisive figures, and where internal competition raises the overall level of the team. Rangers will be hoping that situations like this, rather than becoming distractions, become motivation, because when a squad is motivated, competitive, and focused, that is usually when teams start putting together strong runs of performances. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. Whispers are beginning to gather pace around Rangers FC, as comments attributed to AASGAARD have stirred quiet unease among supporters and observers alike. While nothing official has been confirmed, the tone of the midfielder's reported remarks has been described as unusually blunt, hinting at a player far from content with his current situation. Sources close to the dressing room suggest AASGAARD is not entirely satisfied with how things are progressing, a phrase that, in football terms, often carries more weight than it first appears. It's understood the player has been reflecting on his role within the squad, with concerns allegedly centered around consistency, opportunities, and the broader direction of the team. Those familiar with the Ibrox environment will know such murmurs rarely emerge without cause. Rangers, a club where expectations run high and patience can wear thin, are no strangers to internal scrutiny. Still, the suggestion that a player like AASGAARD might be harboring doubts is enough to raise eyebrows. There's also a growing sense that these comments, whether intentional or not, could be positioning. In modern football, expressions of dissatisfaction often precede movement, be it a push for greater responsibility or, in some cases, an eye on the exit. For now, however, it remains firmly in the realm of speculation. Supporters, meanwhile, are left to read between the lines. Some will view it as a young player eager to make his mark, demanding more from himself and those around him. Others may see it as a subtle warning sign, a hint that harmony within the squad is not quite as solid as it appears from the outside. Until anything concrete emerges, the situation remains one to watch closely. In Glasgow, even the faintest hint of unrest seldom stays quiet for long. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.